What up, Ring Crew Army, and thank you for tuning into a brand new episode of the Square Circle Podcast. I am your host, Marie Shadows, and on this episode of the Square Circle Podcast, it will be discussing Night 3, Match 3 of the Road to Castle Attack series. Now, I realized in my previous podcast episodes, I would say, oh, I'm talking about the first match and then the second match, and yes, they are Bullet Club and Chaos related. That's just how I wrote them down in my notes, but I think it'd be best to go along with how New Japan Pro Wrestling books their matches. So this match that we're going to be talking about, which is the team of Chase Owens, Jay White, and Gedo taking on Ishii, Sho, and Yano as the third match on that card for the Road to Castle Attack series. This podcast episode will be available on anchor.fm/Square Circle Podcast. And also on the YouTube side, because that is getting revitalized with my wrestling content, and to definitely show off the skills that I can be a commentator and that you guys can definitely support me on those two avenues there. And then I'm also on Twitter at Marie_Shadows. So again, you'll get all this information at the end. Let's currently right now jump into Night 3 of the Road to Castle Attack, Match 3 in this 6-man tag. So when I first saw the match card for this particular night, it had Gedo on there teaming up with Jay White and Chase Owens. I immediately thought, what god did Gedo piss off this time to be in a match? I know that Gedo is a wrestler. I just thought that he retired from wrestling. He obviously slowed down and became a really great manager to Bullet Club and a really great manager to Jay White. But anything before that, my knowledge is super limited when it comes to Gedo. So in my head, I'm like, oh, these guys better protect Gedo and make sure everything goes smooth in the match. Now, I was totally proved wrong when Gedo started wrestling in this match, and just seeing how jacked he is. Like, I wasn't thinking he wasn't going to have muscles underneath all of the Jay White merch that he comes out in. But you could definitely tell by the way that he walks and talks and sells that, you know, he knows exactly what he's doing. It's just that most of the time that I hear about Gedo or see what Gedo does, he's mainly in comedic spots where he gets hit and he sells, and then fans like to talk about Gedo and him booking New Japan Pro Wrestling and doing stuff behind the scenes. So I never got to experience any of his matches or even experience his legacy within the business, and this was the first time that I was impressed and was introduced to Gedo. And Gedo is a very unique wrestler for this business, as I've seen in this match. And this match just proves to me how smart Gedo actually is when it comes to understanding matches, understanding the crowd, understanding the story, and everything that happened. We get Sho and Gedo starting off this match. There is a really strong lockup, and Gedo decides to rake the eyes of Sho and then punch him. Sho ends up doing a misdirection, which allows him to shoulder tackle Gedo. Sho comes in with some forearm shots, then Irish whip Gedo into the corner, followed by a clothesline. Then Sho maintains wrist control and gives Gedo some stiff kicks to the chest. Sho then goes for a cover, but Gedo kicks out at 2. Yano is tagged in and immediately goes over to the turnbuckles to take them off. Chase comes in and attacks Yano. Yano then Irish whips Chase into the other corner while he completes taking off the turnbuckle pad. Gedo runs towards Yano, but Yano sidesteps and Gedo runs into the exposed turnbuckle. Yano then sends Chase into Gedo and then tries for a splash, but both Chase and Gedo move out the way. Chase then goes after Yano on the outside, and Jay White goes after Ishii on the outside. Chase then proceeds to whip Yano and also choke him a little bit, and then throws him back into the ring. Gedo then Irish whips Yano into the exposed turnbuckle and then tags out to Jay White. Jay comes in and throws Yano again into the exposed turnbuckle and tags in Chase for a double team on Yano. So while Jay White holds Yano, Chase delivers a kick to Yano's midsection, and then he begins working on Yano's leg. Chase does a leg screw to Yano and then tags in Jay. Jay starts working on Yano's leg, and then Jay tags in Gedo. Gedo goes and attacks Sho as a taunt because now that Sho has been hit by the opponent, he comes into the ring and tries to get some revenge on Gedo. However, the referee tries to get Sho back into the corner, but Sho manages to get some forearms in before Gedo can rake the eyes of Sho. And while this is happening between Gedo and Sho, Jay White is working on Yano's leg. Gedo proceeds to throw Sho to the outside, and Jay is quick to go to the outside and throw Sho into the barricade to add more pain to Sho. Gedo then goes and tags in Chase. Chase has a strap in his hand, so he causes a distraction with the referee, and this allows Jay White to come in and attack Yano. But Ishii has seen enough, and he comes in and immediately attacks Jay in the back. At this point in the match, Bullet Club has done fantastic with keeping Yano on their side, cutting the ring in half, having quick tags. The more quick tags you have between the guys, it's always going to have a fresh rotation and everyone is going to be well rested. So that way, when the hard work comes in, like Ishii, because Ishii is definitely a stone wall and he probably packs a punch whenever he does forearms or anything, you have to be prepared for that. So Bullet Club was taking advantage of most of this match until Ishii got upset and decided to come into the ring and attack Jay White. However, Chase stops Ishii from attacking Jay, and that allows Jay to roll to the outside. Chase then turns his attention back on Yano. Yano throws Chase to the outside and with quickness takes Gedo off the ring apron and then fastens the strap to the guardrail and rolls back into the ring. Chase gets back into the ring but notices that he's strapped to the barricade because he can't go any further, and Yano just gloats right in front of him as Chase tries to at least kick him, but instead he realizes that this isn't going to work, so he goes over to his corner and tags out to Jay, and Yano tags in Ishii. So now we have Ishii versus Jay White. Jay White tries for his patented roll in and out, let Ishii chase him tactic until Ishii grabs him and throws him into the barricade. Jay reverses an Irish whip once they're both back into the ring, and Ishii comes at Jay with a shoulder tackle. Chase tries to save Jay, but Ishii does the same to him. Both Ishii and Jay are countering move after move with missed forearms and or elbows until a double headbutt stuns both guys for a little bit. Jay then charges at Ishii. Ishii sidesteps. Ishii tries his own charge at Jay. Jay sidesteps and then manages to get Ishii in a DDT. Jay White then does a European uppercut followed by a blade buster to Ishii and goes for the cover. Ishii kicks out at 2 and Jay White pulls Ishii up to his feet and within close quarters gives him some knees to his midsection. And again, counter after counter until Jay White manages to do the Saito suplex on Ishii. Jay then tags in Gedo. Gedo and Chase knock off Yano and Sho off the apron to focus on Ishii. There's a combination of kicks and a double suplex to Ishii. Chase comes in with a knee strike to Ishii. Gedo goes for the pin. Ishii kicks out at 2. Sho then comes in to attack Gedo. Sho goes for a jumping knee to Chase, but Chase sidesteps it and hits Sho with a bunch of open palm strikes until Yano trips him, and that becomes a distraction for Sho to get a suplex on Chase. Jay tries to attack Sho. However, it is met with a Manhattan drop by Yano and then double knees to the back by Sho and then a clothesline from Ishii. Gedo tries for a roll-up on Ishii. Ishii kicks out at 2. then an inside cradle, and Ishii kicks out at 2. There's a poke in the eye and then a chin breaker to Ishii, but Ishii powers through all of that and clothesline Gedo. Jay tries to pull Gedo to safety, but Ishii got wrist control and does a brainbuster to Gedo, and Ishii pins Gedo, picking up the victory for Chaos in this match. After the bell has rung, Ishii is still in the ring with Gedo laying right underneath his foot. Ishii has his foot on Gedo's neck and gives Jay White the most death stare I've seen, as if taunting Jay White to be like, hey, come in the ring, I dare you to. Normally, after matches, the young boys will come into the ring and give the ice packs. If any of the wrestlers need ice packs, they will make sure that the other wrestlers do not do further damage to their opponents and vice versa. However, whenever it comes to Bullet Club versus Chaos, the young boys or the young lions are not very quick to get into the ring unless maybe Jay White is beating up on his opponent. In this case, for some reason, just because Jay White and Ishii has some bad blood between them and Ishii can definitely hurt a lot more people, especially the young lions, it doesn't mean that they need to be scared about trying to get in there and contain the situation rather than it getting out of hand. So on the outside, Jay is yelling to the referee to stop Ishii. Ishii has the King Switch jacket that Gedo will come down to the ring every single time with, and he wraps it around Gedo's neck and proceeds to choke him. And while the referee is going, no, 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 very softly, Jay's getting upset on the outside and can't really do much. And he throws in Gabriel Kidd, who's one of the young boys out in the ringside to help out. And as Kidd tries to maintain some order and to stop Ishii from doing this to Gedo, Ishii starts kicking him and Kidd comes right out the ring. It takes Yano to convince Ishii to stop what he's doing, and that's when they start rolling Gedo out to the floor, and Jay White gets him and takes him to the back. But you know that Jay White is upset about this, that it's that lovely double standard that New Japan Pro Wrestling has, which brings me to his backstage comments. Again, he's reminding New Japan Pro Wrestling, its fans, and everyone else that there is this double standard within the company, that no matter what he does, he could be following the rules and not doing anything illegal, yet the referees will get on him. But the moment that that match ended, no one stopped Ishii to get off of Gedo and allow Ishii to do what he did to Gedo. And no one really stopped it until Yano was like, yo, this is enough, and allowed Gedo to be back into the arms of Bullet Club and Jay White, and you know, hopefully he's doing okay. But it's that double standard issue that Jay White keeps going back to, of if he did this, he'll be reprimanded, but if his opponents do whatever they want, it's totally fine. There's no balance between the two, and that's what he's trying to get at. So Jay thinks that it's probably time for him and Bullet Club to bend the rules on the next night of the Road to Castle series, which I will have that covered for you guys in the next episode. And also, Jay is definitely going to make sure that Ishii is taken care of when they fight one-on-one in Osaka, so that way Jay can right that wrong and be on his way to his destino and to become God. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is my assessment of night 3, match 3 of the Road to Castle Attack series. If you guys definitely enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave me a comment on the YouTube side, or even a voice message on the Anchor side. You guys can definitely get in contact with me at Maria_Shadows over on Twitter. And if you want to take it a step further and join the newsletter community, head over to theringcrew.substack.com. I appreciate everyone that listens, anyone that gives me comments, some love, and overall encouragement. Podcasting is a journey in itself, and I'm glad that you guys are here to listen to me talk about professional wrestling, my super passion and my love for it. And I hope that you guys enjoy New Japan Pro Wrestling a little bit more, just because I break down the stuff the way that I do and give you guys more insight on things. It may not be a news-like podcast, but I could definitely tell you that it's way more enjoyable to immerse yourself in the stories that are being told, because you never know when these stories can definitely connect with you, and most likely they probably do. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to the Square Circle podcast. I am your host, Marie Shadows, and I'll see you guys in the next one.